Hello, my name is Dr. Eric Foster Whidden. I'm the Assistant Professor of Biblical Studies at Tabor College and the Director of the Graduate Studies in Ministry Initiative, or GSM for short. In this little video, I would like to do a few things. First of all, I want to express my excitement that you're part of GSM, that you've chosen to study with us. We look forward to hearing from you, to hear your stories, to get to know who you are, to walk alongside you as you deepen your theological understanding, as you grow in your knowledge of the Bible, as you explore church history, as you sharpen your ministry skills, and ultimately as you listen for God's direction, as you continue to discern what he's called you to do in ministry in his kingdom. And so that's an exciting journey, and we look forward to walking alongside you in that process. And then secondly, I wanted to introduce myself. I'm originally from Georgia. I'm from a little town in the far deep southwestern corner of the state called Moultrie, Georgia. I was born there, raised there. My wife is also from the area. Her name is Vanessa. And I went off to college to undergrad at a school in the northern part of the state called Emmanuel University, which is a school a lot like Tabor. And there I got a Bachelor's of Arts in Christian Ministries. It was the most general, generic ministry degree they offered because I knew that God had called me to do something, but I wasn't sure what yet. And so I just did that, finished it with that degree, and then went back to Moultrie because, again, I felt God's leadership back to my hometown. I never thought that I would go there again. But I went back, and that's when I met my wife, and we got married. And I served there in ministry for about a decade on church staff, full time. Most of that was in youth ministry. And at the end of that season, Vanessa and I discerned God's calling into a season of entrepreneurship. And so we went and opened a business. We ran the business for 7 years and then sold it because God then again led us into a different season. And this was a season of graduate level theological education. And so at this point, I discerned the fact that God had called me to serve in his kingdom as a teacher, that was my role, was to help encourage, befriend, and help grow people who were discerning their call to ministry like you to be able to serve in the local church context. So for a lot of you guys, your calling is to the pulpit or to the classroom in the local church. My calling is to the college classroom. And so I started teaching at a Christian high school while I did a Master's of Divinity at Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary at the Jacksonville campus. And so that allowed me to work full time while doing classes, which is, I'm sure, the context that a lot of you guys are in. And so I would go on the weekends. I went 2 weekends a month for 3 years to the Jacksonville campus to do as many classes in person as I could, but some were also online. And so there were a lot of things about the way that I studied at Gordon Conwell that are similar to the ways that we do things that we do with GSM. At the end of that MDiv, Master's of Divinity, we then moved overseas and I did a 1 year Master's of Philosophy degree in New Testament at Cambridge University in England. And then we went from there to Scotland and I did a PhD in the Gospel of John at the University of St. Andrews. I finished that in 2024 and then moved to Hillsborough, Kansas to serve as the Assistant Professor of Biblical Studies here at Tabor College, which brings us to where we are today. And so I also wanted to give you some idea of where you can get more information about your course or about GSM on the whole if you have questions and you need some answers. To start with, if you have questions about things specifically related to your course, your first stop is definitely your teaching team, which consists of your instructor and your cohort facilitator. You're going to have a lot more weekly interaction with your cohort facilitator than you will your instructor. So you may want to start there, but ultimately the person who really has the authoritative information about the fine details of your course will be your instructor. So between your cohort facilitator and your instructor, you can probably find the answer you're looking for your course. If you have questions about things outside of your course in GSM or just kind of general GSM questions, feel free to reach out to me. You can find my contact information at my faculty page on the Tabor College website. And then finally, this is the first video in a series of videos to help orient you to GSM courses, to how GSM works, to the different aspects of how we do what we do that makes it kind of distinct and particular for our purposes. So make sure that you watch all of those videos. Once you've seen all of those videos one time, that's all you have to do. When you take subsequent courses, you don't have to rewatch them every time unless you see a video pop up in the list that you haven't looked at before. But anyway, all that being said, blessings on you as you study. We are praying for you. We are excited to get to know you, and we're excited to see what God does in your life and where you go as you continue to follow Jesus.